So I did my last video just about 20 minutes ago on how we do copywork and dictation, and I went upstairs, fed my kids. The whole time I was thinking, people are going to want to know what I use. How do I actually do it? So you know how to do it, but what passage do we pick? It's overwhelming, and you really could do it with anything, but because we're busy and who has the time to spend hours poring over anything, which you wouldn't have to. You could pick anything. But I use a product, it's called the Quiver of Arrows from Brave Writer, and you can buy the whole thing as a package. But what I recommend is to start off using one of them, which you can purchase for, I think it's 10 bucks American. So it's totally worth it. And that gets you a whole month's worth of copywork and dictation passages based off a book. So I have it here to show you, and this is really what I would do to get started. So you can buy it online, I'll put the link below. It's the Quiver of Arrows. You'll see that there's got tons and tons of books that you can pick from. Some of the older issues are smaller and there isn't as much guidance for you, the parent. So I would recommend getting one of the $9 ones, not one of the $7 ones to begin with. And then also I would look to see that you're getting the Quiver of Arrows, not the arrow, just to begin with. The Quiver of Arrows was made for younger children, but I think it's a really, really good place to start if you're beginning with copywork and dictation, because in the beginning you'll get a little guide. It's about 5 pages, I think, yeah, on how to do copywork and dictation. Julie Bogart talks about French dictation and something that I didn't touch on, which is reverse style dictation, which is a lot of fun too. So you get that little breakdown for you as the parent. And then based on the book, this one is Charlotte's Web, you have your passages already picked out to use for copywork. So you can just copy the page if you want to do the highlighting like we did. And then the French dictation pages are typed up for you. So it's a super, super easy way to get started. And the beauty of it is you can modify it to use with multiple age students. You just tweak it just a tiny bit, and you could really use it with someone. As long as they can know their letters and have some basic reading skills, you could use it, with a first grader, not one who's just learning their letters, but a confident printing, somewhat reading first grader, all the way up to, 4th, 5th grade, anything like that. So it's a great place to start. So just to give you an idea here, so like I said, it's for 4 weeks. They have passages, one for each of the 4 weeks based upon the book. You have to buy the book on your own and read it first. That is definitely the way to go with that. So Charlotte's Web, and on the first page they give you the passage. So week 1, that is the passage that your child will be doing, and then it's totally up to you. My daughter would be comfortable copying that in 1 to 2 days because she's older and pretty quick at it. My son maybe could do 3 or 4 words about that. So I could do it with both of them. I would just obviously modify how much they each did. If my son was going to do it, the only thing he would do with it would be the copywork, and then we would just do a little bit each day. And I would write it out for him on the lined paper, and then he would copy it out. If you have like a little notebook, something like this, it's a good way to keep it organized. So then, on this line, I would write it, and then he would write it below, just right underneath. I think it's important for beginners that they do it right underneath, that they're not transferring from a page to another page. I think that's too much for them to think about. Once they're older and confident, like my daughter, it's super easy. I won't write it down. She'll just copy it off of here. So we would begin by her highlighting all the punctuation and all of that. My son wouldn't do that. And then it tells you why they picked that passage, which is kind of neat, because if you're overwhelmed about picking your own passage, then it tells you why they picked this one. And so this one, the first one, is she talks about an opening hook and how that's a tool writers use to draw you into the story. And this one has probably one of the best opening hooks in children's literature. And so that tells you what to say to your kids about that. And then it has it talks, what to talk about, like the nitty gritty of Copywork when you're talking about. So it talks about, it has, you know, stuff to talk about. You've got dialogue, what to say about the capital letters, what to say about the end marks, you know, your periods, question marks, that kind of thing. And then it talks about quotation marks. So if you're not feeling super comfortable, it's a great way just to give you an idea what things to point out to your kids. It's not an hour-long blah 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 kind of lesson. It tells you briefly as they're getting ready to copy, it tells you what to say about it. So that's great. And then it also has some vocabulary words, and it gives the definition of those, you know, hog house and runt, gives you a little definition of runts for your kids. And it tells you, you know, basically in this little short chunk, how to teach the passage. And then, you know, for younger kids or kids who are just starting out, it has Monday, write this sentence. Tuesday, write that one. Wednesday, and so forth. But once again, tweak that to your kids. If that is way too easy for them, then have them do it in a day or two. If the whole passage would be too long for them, then have them just do whatever, you know, a few words a day, whatever they can manage to do it perfectly to their ability, neatly, properly copying everything, you know, not a sloppy mess. And so then she has on Friday, so before you get to that, she also has the words laid out for you that you could use to practice for spelling for those kids who are going to do French or full dictation. So she has the list of words that would be used for the French dictation, so you could use those for spelling. Like I did with my daughter, we would start practicing those right away once she had done the copywork, you know, after the first day or two. My son, we wouldn't use them at all. And then we practice those, and then for an older child, you know, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday type of deal, once they're comfortable with all the words or however long it takes, then we would go ahead and do the French style dictation. Not for a younger student, but that's where you choose, right? It's up to you. So then they have that ready for you, which is super nice because who has time to type up something when you could just hit print? So there's the French style dictation, and your child could just fill in the blanks. If it's your first time doing it, I would probably leave it at that and then be done. But if your child, it was really easy and then they did well with it, then you could move to doing a full dictation. You wouldn't necessarily have to do the full passage. If this is what they had done for their copywork, you know, pick the first line, you know, sentence or two sentences if it's their first time doing dictation. But just remember, set them up for success. Don't make it so difficult that they're going to fail at it, because that won't have any benefit for anybody. So yeah, I think it's a really great tool. You can get it online, just a single issue. Charlotte's Web is a great one to start with, because most of us have probably read it with our kids. If you haven't, it's a great book. It's a classic children's book that everyone should read with their children. So that's a good one. And then they have that repeated for 4 weeks. So you would do, you know, this theoretically one kind of round of it for 4 different weeks. So then the next week they have the next passage, and it continues on. And at the very end of it, they have what they call their literary element. And then that's kind of like an addition, and each of their issues has that, focusing on a different thing. So this one is focusing on alliteration, which is the repetition of a consonant sound. So like the huge hippopotamus hasn't a hair on the back of his wrinkly hide. You know, so we've got the H sound repeating. So it talks about what it is, and it kind of breaks that down for you to go over with your child. And then it has a writing project, which fits really well into the Brave Writer lifestyle, which is doing one writing project, one good quality writing project a month. And it actually gives it to you right there. So that's super fun. You could do that. And once again, it's easy to modify with younger and older kids, which is great because then you're not, you know, trying to split your attention as much. And so if you are wanting a product to use, it's a great way to start, minimal investment, and it is a good way to hold your hand and that of your child's to kind of ease into it. Just remember to make it a really positive experience and encourage them to only copy, you know, what they can do properly and neatly. So if that's one word to start off with, then do one word, but you want it to be really super neat. And I really recommend, for regardless of the age of the student, unless they're, you know, got perfectly neat printing on their own, that you do use, you know, a notebook like this, or you can print off paper. I've posted that on our Facebook group links where you can print off your own paper with those, you know, the 2 lines and then the dotted line in the middle. It is so important to help them with their spacing of and the sizing of letters for the kids who struggle with that, which really, you know, when they're young is all kids. So definitely use that and that'll help them. If you're using regular notebook paper and you're wondering why your kid's handwriting is a mess, then it's because you've got the wrong paper. So get those lined. These little notebooks at Staples, I think, are $1.20. So well worth it. But yes, hopefully that will get you started on your Copywork adventure. I'll post the link below. And remember, you don't have to buy the whole program. You can just buy one of the issues. And I would definitely start with one of the ones that say Quiver of Arrows. So, you know, Charlotte's Web is a great one. The Mouse and the Motorcycle is a really good one, especially for boys. It's such a fun story, but my daughter loved it too. And also a nice short story to start with. My son didn't love the story, but my daughter really did. What was it? Oh, Sarah Plain and Tall. That was a really quick one, and you can get it from the Red Deer Library on Overdrive as an audiobook. So that's a quick way to do it. So good luck, and I hope that helps you get started.